Okay, we're continuing with the overview of the book. The book that you see in front of me, which is the title of the book, is The Pursuit of Human Well-Being, The Untold Global History. Um, the, the book is published by Springer. I'm one of the co-editors. My name is Joseph Sergi, and my co-editor and the other co-editor is Richard Estes. And what we're doing in this video clip is give you an introduction of one of the chapters, and that's chapter 19. And the title of that chapter is The Role of Technology in the History of Well-Being. Now, this chapter is co-authored by two fine individuals, Audrey Selyan, and she's a specialist in technology policy and development studies, and she currently serves as a trustee for several nonprofit organizations, and she resides in Geneva, Switzerland. And her co-author is Lee McKnight. He is the Kaufman Professor of Entrepreneurship and Innovation and an associate professor in the iSchool, the School of Information Studies. That's Syracuse University, New York, United States. Okay, what we're going to do is to give the audience a feel for the chapter by reading the introduction. The introduction is very interesting, and I think it sets the stage for the chapter as a whole. So allow me to read the introduction, and I think you will get a good feel for what the entire chapter is about. Technology is defined as a manner of accomplishing a task, especially using technical processes, methods, or knowledge. That's the Merriam-Webster definition of technology. Technology, in turn, creates the fabric of human life by transforming the threads of our everyday experiences with the environment we live in and one another. The earliest human technologies were handmade, flint-sharpened tools used to skin animals and in the process create art and clothing. Such tools were used to assist in hunting and to control the spaces inhabited by the earliest peoples in the surrounding ecosystem on which they depended. In more recent centuries, technologies were created to help humans cultivate crops and manage water, thereby providing food security and improving well-being on many levels essential to survival. Technology is often the difference between prosperity and poverty in both developed and developing economies, as well as in the social organization and fragmentation that result in intra-regional warfare. Technology fuels the wealth of nations and individuals through commerce and trade, as innovations unleash the creative destruction of markets, firms, and workplaces. The impacts of technology changes on people and communities are also profound. From reinventing avenues for political participation to providing information and transparency to financial access to basic matters of housing and feeding the planet's burgeoning population to mapping the human genome, among others, it is fair to say that nearly every dimension of human well-being today is affected by technology. The accumulated innovations accessible on and through the internet are particularly ubiquitous and transformative, impacting most nations substantially by the early 21st century. The history of more than half century of technology innovation and synthesis in packet switching, data communication, semiconductors, software, service, computation, and network architecture, enabling the internet innovation ecosystem is largely forgotten by the public, even if its impact on human well-being half a century later is self-evident. The ubiquity of mobile handsets, likely in every reader's hand or pocket, is evidence of the pervasiveness of technology and its apparent significance for human well-being. Commercial websites are used to make purchases or to work remotely. For example, Amazon.com, eBay.com, or Basecamp.com, Slack.com, and so forth. Um, Whereas social media channels may push for life-changing political news to the public, to communicate with family and friends, and sometimes to find a long-lost friend. Social media are used both locally and globally and have been some of the most innovative inventions of the recent past. For example, Facebook, Twitter, Weibo. Uh, the myriad daily encounters of humans and machines, both directly and indirectly, are all examples of the ways in which technology can affect well-being with a powerful multiplier effect. Popular intuition and conventional wisdom correctly surmise that the unintended consequences of new technology and automation, the use of control systems and operating equipment such as machinery, industrial processes in factories, boilers and heat treating ovens, routers on digital networks, flying aircraft, and other applications, with minimal or reduced human intervention. The effects of creative destruction would also include job loss and industrial restructuring, resulting in an intensely competitive environment where some firms, communities, and entire regions and cultures could fall behind or even disappear. It is no accident that technologies are diffused along S-curves, a general concept developed by Everett Rogers and others, building on epidemia, epidemia, epidemilia. Oops, that is a tongue twister. Epi, data that show in graphical form a cumulative percentage of adopters of a new technology over time. Gradual at first, more rapid with increases in adoption, and then plateauing until only a small portion of non-adopting laggards remain. These validate the intuition that only small portions of the population are usually consistently ready for new solutions and change. These curves provide a visual illustration of the cycle of the introduction, gradual growth, and maturation of technological innovations over time, capturing the human experience of adaptation to technology with reasonable accuracy. Technology as a causal factor or driver of human well-being outcomes is difficult to discern in real time because unintended consequences and reverse feedback loops, both positive and negative, of a technology may not be easily detectable. In other words, there could be many contributing and complex elements that drive a particular subjective or even objective assessment of an aspect of well-being. It is also difficult to isolate technology in terms of its causality as part of its symbiosis of past and the present, of engineering and of human custom, and of technical and social phenomena. It is created and changed by human action while it is being used by human actors to interact with the structures of their own creation. In this sense, it is recursive. Some scholars, such as Borgman, Ellul, Pacey, Deanan suggests a heightened awareness of the sociological aspects of technology that is considering technology as its own cultural system. The full amalgamation of all the technology we have invented so far, plus the products of those inventions, plus anything else our collective minds have produced. In some ways, Fukuyama's reference to the emergent global culture as a technologically driven global liberal political economy is about the standardization that he argues portends the end of history. These are difficult questions, and it is clear that the way we think about technology is a key part of assessing the relationship of technology with well being. Pacey and Winner were among the scholars who explored this phenomena in depth. Popular media often place this disproportionate focus on the technology itself, who is credited with having invented it and how it works rather than on what led to it and its role as a source of present and future creativity and its philosophical implications for everybody's everyday lives. There are clearly evident path dependencies that have carried forward the widespread adoption of certain technologies, such as railway gauges, heating solutions like gas as a function of pipes laid and sources, the QWERTY keyboard format, early internet dial-up on copper lines. Since the emergence of our cave-dwelling ancestors through to the present day, it is unfair to presume that, to some extent, continued demand for new technologies is a reasonable proxy indicator itself that technology is improving our human lives and driving more good than bad outcomes. This chapter addresses empirical, philosophical, socioeconomic, and developmental aspects of technology in its broadest sense, as well as the impact of technological innovation on the evolution of human society. The chapter reviews concepts and phenomena that characterize its study and relationship to well being over time. During the decades that followed the Second World War, information and communication technologies, in particular, have transformed the fabric of social interaction globally and are therefore emphasized in the chapter. With the global growth and adoption of the internet and mobile technologies, the dramatic impact of information communication technologies on well being, especially in fostering worldwide communication between people, is clear, profound, and rapidly changing. Further change and opportunities to improve human well being are readily foreseeable as artificial intelligence, cognitive radios, 5G, and the Internet of Things technologies emerge and get integrated, even if they are not fully understandable. After having introduced the broad topic of technology and human well-being in the prior section, the remainder of this chapter attempts to answer the following questions. Now we get to the gist of the chapter. What are the major historical milestones of technology? 2. How is the role of technology conceptualized in theory, and what attributions of power and influence accompany these theoretical frameworks? 3. What important nuances should be flagged in a review of the role of technology in society today? 4. How can analysis of technology through time be segmented into a useful systems framework that separates technology inputs from throughputs to outcomes? And 5. What have been the longitudinal impacts of technology on the core indicators such as education, health, and income of human development? So these are the 5 questions that the chapter will address in some detail. And I think that gives you a good overview or a good sense of what the chapter is about. And on that note, I will stop.